天呢，我们的这个节目得到了很多网友朋友们的关注，谢谢大家在周一的上午对于我们节目的支持，谢谢明哲，谢谢艺人，谢谢甜点，谢谢 Sun， 好像是一位新朋友，谢谢甜咸，谢谢云水，谢谢如是我闻对于我们节目的打赏。稍后有关于秦刚外长的更多细节，大家请锁定小杨的节目，他会为你带来更多的细节。那么稍后在思想先驱报，我们再与大家继续聊中国外交的故事。好了，以上就是本期华尔街论坛的全部内容。接下来，华尔街联报为你整理过去24小时的要闻和趣闻。
智库简报来自全球各大智库、大学、政府、媒体的政策研究信息、文章、报告，经六度简报团队分析整理而成。六度简报的网址是6dobrief.com。法国和印度战略自主的两个细微差别与美国、中国和俄罗斯的关系。战略与国际研究中心。我们知道，印度将是一个非常困难的超级大国，就像一个大法国一样。日本首相安倍晋三的前副国家安全顾问的这一评论，呼应了 G7 各国首都广泛认同的观点。这当然也是美国许多人对这两个不可或缺但不稳定的伙伴的看法。在集体论坛上，法国和印度确实为不是搭便车者而感到自豪，因为他们是拥有强大国家军队和能力的核大国，也是自由思想家，在全球问题上形成了自己的观点。法国总统埃马纽埃尔·马克龙的座右铭结盟但不结盟与印度外交部长 S.J. 尚卡尔博士坚持认为印度有权拥有自己的一方相呼应。这种姿态最好的概括在两国经常使用的概念中，战略自主定义为独立于外部压力，特别是大国压力做出决策的能力，在主要政策领域。这种共同性在两国的双边接触中经常得到强调。印度总理纳伦德拉·莫迪作为7月14日法国国庆日，也称为巴士底日的贵宾进行访问，将是展示双边关系实力和深度的机会。法国和印度于1998年建立了战略伙伴关系，但这种伙伴关系在过去10年中真正获得了牵引力，在包括敏感和主权领域在内的广泛问题上发起或加强了密切合作，并得到了蓬勃发展的国防贸易合作的支援，使法国成为印度仅次于俄罗斯的第二大武器供应国。莫迪的访问将是国防、太空和核技术领域新宣布的机会。这次访问也将是两国重申对战略自主的共同追求如何指导这一伙伴关系的机会。他们不同的历史和地理位置带来了细微差别和独特的威胁感知，特别是在乌克兰战争以及与俄罗斯和中国的关系方面。但是，他们在多极化和多边主义问题上的总体观点为扩大合作和推进独创性前景提供了巨大潜力。一只眼睛在欧洲，另一只眼睛在亚洲。法国和印度战略自主的根源，自1940年代后期以来，战略自主一直是两国外交政策的核心。在法国的背景下，法国总统戴高乐希望对美国有更多的自治权。其中一个直接的应用是法国决定在1966年离开北约的军事指挥结构，尽管他仍然是北约的成员。此外，戴高乐恳求与苏联对话，在1964年承认中华人民共和国，并主张法国需要保持对其核武器打击能力的控制。独立后，印度在总理贾瓦哈拉尔·尼赫鲁的领导下，信奉类似的绝对主权信念，以保持国际事务的完全自主性，并通过不结盟和中立的理论从大国政治中付诸实践。印度还开发了自己的本土核计划，旨在发展能源和战略自主性。在为创建不结盟运动做出贡献的同时，印度仍然是英联邦的成员，谈判从英国和美国采购国防设备，后来与苏联建立了牢固的伙伴关系。同时，只有拥有关键部门强大的本土能力，才有可能实现战略自主和主权。这一共使导致了自1950年代以来印法在核和空间研究方面的合作。印度与法国的防务合同表明廖新德里和巴黎最大化战略自主性的共同目标。从印度的角度来看，印度一直愿意使其采购来源多样化，而不是俄罗斯。政治可靠性和信任一直是选择法国作为主要合作伙伴的决定性标准。国防交易的确定不仅基于法国设备的作战品质，还基于法国不会停止备件和武器供应的保证，而其他供应商尚未保证。第三，印度希望将其防务关系转变为买卖关系之外，并寻求技术合作机会，共同开发和共同生产国防设备，特别是与法国。因此，在过去30年中，战略自主一直是印度和法国外交政策的一个特征，并导致两国寻求与华盛顿建立更密切但不是排他性的关系，同时有时还与美国不和的国家发展关系，如伊朗或俄罗斯。 两国历来都对冷战期间两极秩序和1990年代单极秩序的崛起感到遗憾，同时在特定情况下有选择的与大国结盟，例如印度支援1979年苏联入侵阿富汗，或法国在1991年参与伊拉克战争，但不是2003年。莫迪和马克龙时代的战略自主与他们的前任一样，莫迪和马克龙与大国建立了牢固的联系，而不会过度依赖其中任何一个，与冷战式的集团竞争保持距离。与70年前相比，两国在集体防御或安全框架方面更加一体化，但莫迪的印度仍然正式反对加入军事联盟，而马克龙则经常以戴高乐主义的方式批评北约。莫迪通过提升印度的核武器形象，与美国、法国和日本等多个大国建立军事和经济网络，追求自治。随之而来的是，印度的地位从一个苦苦挣扎的发展中国家升级为新兴经济体，并进一步成为一个崛起的大国，这使他在许多谈判桌上占有一席之地，例如四国四方安全对话，或四方与澳大利亚、日本和美国、金砖国家集团与巴西、俄罗斯、中国和南非、G20 以及上海合作组织，并加强了其对联合国安理会常任理事国席位的要求。法国处于相反的立场，不得不证明其在几乎每张桌子上的存在是合理的。今天是唯一一个是 G7 联合国安理会、北约和欧盟成员的国家。因此，巴黎通过重要的外交活动来弥补其相对的经济衰退，其中包括一系列倡议，如欧洲政治共同体、巴黎呼吁网络空间的信任和安全，以及最近举行的巴黎新全球金融公约峰会，仅举激励。莫迪和马克龙也有共同的愿望，那就是成为平衡塑造者，而不是追随者。与尼赫鲁和戴高乐一样，他们赞成多极国际秩序，一个不允许单一大国占主导地位的秩序，并为新德里和巴黎提供在塑造全球议程方面发挥重要作用的前景。为了帮助他们实现雄心壮志并减少对大国的依赖，法国和印度都努力建立新的、灵活的伙伴关系。印度的政策侧重于以防务核作为特征的战略伙伴关系网络，包括武器转让、军事演习和情报共用，但避免整合部队和战争计划。同样，法国还通过双边共同防御条款和欧盟框架外的欧洲国家联盟，如萨赫勒地区的前塔库巴特种部队集团或霍尔木兹海峡的欧洲海事意识行动，与选定的伙伴建立伙伴关系，以补充北约或欧盟内部的集体承诺。因此，法国和印度之间的战略趋同是显而易见的，但也存在一些局限性和细微差别。首先，尽管马克龙总统热衷于坚持法国历史和提升法国软实力，但马克龙的愿景与莫迪的印度作为一个文明国家的意识形态复兴主义并不平行于印度教，一种右翼意识形态，试图围绕印度教的价值观定义印度文化和国家，字面意思是印度教。其次，更实际的是，在军事准备方面，尽管当代印度政府倾向于对内强制，但其对外政策却相反。印度毫不犹豫地对中国和巴基斯坦等好斗的邻国使用武力，但他采取了显著的克制，避免了外部干预。相比之下，法国通过欧盟、北约和特赦联盟在众多任务和行动中部署了军队，应用战略自主，围绕战略自主的概念相同转化为法国和印度的可比外交政策，特别是在与美国、中国和俄罗斯等大国的关系方面。这两个国家都与美国有着复杂且经常被误解的关系，他们都渴望在一定程度上独立于华盛顿的政策，同时意识到他们在国防和安全方面依赖美国。因此，对美国在巴黎和德里内部政策的批评者，往往被巩固跨大西洋和印太关系的宣导者视为忘恩负义。但后者未能抓住的是，美国在关键地区拥有能力和自主的合作伙伴的既得利益，即使以痛苦的外交接触和协调为代价。精心培养这些伙伴关系的最好证明是，马克龙和莫迪是拜登政府邀请到华盛顿进行国事访问的3位世界领导人中的2位，还有韩国总统尹书烈。莫迪对巴黎的访问预计将推动印度对装备多样化和国防本土化的追求。人们普遍猜测，印度可能宣布采购打索阵风多用途战斗机和鱿鱼级潜艇，以及技术转让协定。法印战略凝聚力的真正压力测试在于他们各自评估如何与中国和俄罗斯等其他有问题的大国接触。自2020年4月以来，印度在喜马拉雅山与北京陷入军事对峙，印度承认与中国的关系不正常。4月，马克龙总统在对中国进行盛大的国事访问后，重新提出战略自治的想法，在西方各国首都引发了一场重大争议，并得到了北京的赞扬。值得注意的是，马克龙建议欧洲不应适应美国的步伐和中国在台湾问题上的过度反应， 有效地呼吁欧盟避开不属于我们的危机。除了马克龙对扩大与中国的商业关系持开放态度，并寻求中国在乌克兰冲突中的调解作用外，这次访问还被描述为法国对北京的一种宽容形式，这可能是德里关注的一个问题。但华盛顿和新德里的反应温和，因为实际上他们密切合作，在该地区平衡他们共同的竞争对手中国。事实上，印太概念为蓬勃发展的法印关系提供了一个有用的框架。法国比其他四方伙伴更关心印度洋的稳定，这要归功于其在印度洋南部的海外领土以及北印度洋、吉布地和阿拉伯联合大公国阿联酋的军事基地。这已经让位于富有成效的双边合作在于2018年通过的印法在印度洋地区合作的联合战略愿景。巴黎和新德里也正在通过与澳大利亚和阿联酋的三边模式，以及与希腊和埃及等国的战略伙伴关系，加强与志同道合的伙伴的共同接触。这些印法伙伴关系不仅强调了印太地区和地中海之间的联系，而且还补充了该地区传统上由华盛顿领导的安全架构，同时加强了区域经济一体化，以及 I2U2、印度、以色列、阿联酋和美国等小型双边伙伴关系。各自的战略自主也可能导致不和谐，例如法国和印度对乌克兰战争的立场。法国继续向乌克兰提供政治、财政、人道主义和军事支援。他强烈谴责俄罗斯的军事干预，并支援对莫斯科的多轮制裁。与此同时，马克龙总统一再呼吁维兰保姆在这场具有全球影响的冲突中站队，包括在联合国大会上发表的响亮讲话。尽管与美国和欧洲的关系迅速增长，但作为一个能源匮乏的发展中国家，印度抵制了停止从其传统伙伴俄罗斯购买打折石油的压力。与此同时，莫迪总理暗中试图批评俄罗斯，他告诉普京总统，今天的时代不是战争时代，并一再呼吁和平解决冲突，包括在美国国会。除了战略竞争之外，两国还努力成为中等强国的领导者，并重新定义多边主义。虽然印度一直在加强与被认定为西方一部分的国家的伙伴关系，但它继续通过积极参与金砖国家和上海合作组织等组织来维护其外交机动性。莫斯科和北京在这些组织中拥有重要影响力。印度一直在参加发达经济体的 G7 会议，同时利用其 G20 轮值主席国身份来维护发展中国家的利益。今年早些时候，印度主办了由125个全球南方国家参加的首次峰会，旨在阐明全球南方感受到的全球冲击，从 COVID-19 到乌克兰战争的不成比例的影响。尽管法国在与全球南方，特别是其前非洲殖民地的关系方面面临挑战，但它一直在努力通过新全球融资公约解决全球金融架构中不利于发展中国家的差距。通过国际太阳能联盟等组织，双方共同加强多边架构，重点关注跨国挑战。结论：在复杂的地缘政治格局中保持战略自主性的共同历史斗争，说明两个大国建立了一定程度的信任和务实的伙伴关系。有趣的是，双方都认为对方很有价值，但不足以发展相互依存的关系。法国足够强大，可以在外交、军事、太空和核领域向印度提供一些东西，但不足以塑造国际秩序、规范或规则，或者在紧张局势升级时制衡中国。对法国来说，在面临俄罗斯侵略或非洲恐怖主义等威胁的背景下，印度是重要的，但不是最重要的贸易和防务合作伙伴。因此，莫迪对巴黎的访问是巩固法印特殊关系的另一个重要里程碑，但后者仍然不太可能演变成一个适当的军事联盟。这符合两国保持一定战略灵活性的目标。事实上，真正的战略自主意味着对最密切的伙伴关系的限制。谢谢收看智库简报，这是由六度简报团队为您制作的内容。六度简报的网址是6dobrief.com， 专门面对全球精英、专业人士。
So I went to China, Shanghai, China, when I was 15, and I went there after I was living in India for 2 years. And I convinced my parents to move there. They didn't want to move back to LA, so I was happy with my life abroad. And I wanted to study theater, so it was, for me, it seemed like there was only two options, so either the UK or New York, and I chose New York because I thought I was just gonna go just head first. Oh, actually, well, yes, being a third culture kid, actually, I think was one of the major reasons, though, just because I had grown up. I think by that time I was like, I think 8 years outside of the U.S. Being here in New York, I always concerned about going out, just because, well, I mean, first, going out at night here, let's just be clear, you never really know what you're going to get into. With one, just the train system, it's late, and like, especially if you're coming all the way from Brooklyn back to Manhattan, it's really late, and people on the train can be very aggressive. There's that. But just simple day-to-day, I felt more unsafe here than I would have felt in Shanghai. But I think that New York did allow me to have a space just for myself. I think that New York does allow you to explore different parts of you, whether that be your interests, whether maybe I'm a creative, so that's why it helped me. But definitely figure out who you are, what you want, what's most important to you. I think that it does shine a huge light on that, because New York does make you examine yourself. And this is strictly from an emotional and mental perspective, rather than like a safety perspective first. But when someone does tell me, like, the first thing that comes out of their mouth of like New York, like, ooh, that's like dangerous, then I feel obligated on behalf of New York, on behalf of New York, to just be like, okay, wait. Let's just back up, because it can be unsafe, but if you know what you're doing, you're gonna be fine. For the most part, you're gonna be fine. I would feel more frightened. Obviously coming in with no sort of understanding of what New York has. But if someone's with you and be like, okay, you're good. I came in 2018. No. I didn't see that big of a difference. I didn't see that big of a difference coming here and being here I've only been here for 4 years, so maybe take that with as much as you want. But I just didn't see that big of a change, and I don't think New York has gotten worse, in the sense that, like, I feel so much more unsafe than I did like 2-3 years ago. No, I don't feel more unsafe. It feels exactly the same. Nothing has changed. I still feel unsafe because I'm a woman, because no one's doing anything to stop any sort of sexual harassment, any sort of thing that happened in the trains, at bars, at clubs, where any sort of outing and go, walking on the freaking street. So it's a personally selfish thing that I feel that there's no change. No, it doesn't, because even during the pandemic, it felt okay. I guess an example of it would be during the pandemic, when everyone was like meant to be wearing a mask, meant to be implementing these rules that would be put all over, even the tiniest things of wearing a mask, they couldn't do. And so the idea that some police officer at a station was just like, here, wear a mask, and you're not wearing a mask yourself. I'm like, who are you helping? It just felt like a bit hypocritical. And whenever they're there, it just feels, I don't know, like a little bit of a weight. Like an accident can happen, and I don't know. I think I may be influenced by just too many other instances that I have seen firsthand, but then also I've seen on the internet, and it shifts your mindset and how you view them, because you don't see them as a place of safety. You see them as a place of possible they could be possibly against you rather than for you, in case you've done something wrong, and you don't even know what you've done wrong because you don't think because. You think that you wouldn't have to know every single like freaking law to live in this country, but you do in order to not get in trouble. And it's like, God, yeah. I didn't want Trump to win. And this is coming from a strictly woman perspective, but just a matter of respect and the type of person he was. To have someone like that in power felt wrong. Not to say that Biden is much better when it comes to things like that, because I think that there's still many things that have gone unnoticed in regards to women. I did vote for Biden. I voted for him, but it was because I didn't want to see Trump win again, and like deal with another 4 years of poppycock. Immigration policy, that was one of the biggest things for me, at least, because I mean, a good chunk of my family have immigrated from Mexico and El Salvador to be here, and that part of my family is actually very proud to be an American. They say it with their whole chest that it's not that they deny that other part of them, but they say like, no, I'm an American. I've earned my spot here. And the fact that he was tearing away children from families and putting them in these camps, it just felt a very personal and racial attack that I could never ever get behind. And I knew people who were Hispanic or Latin who did vote for him, and it really sparked an argument where I'm like, do you realize that he doesn't respect you? He doesn't respect where you come from. He doesn't respect like, if he had the opportunity, there would be a wall right now, a much bigger one than what we have. So I don't know. That was one of the major things for me. If Trump wins the election, I don't see myself coming back in those 4 years. Sorry, not sorry. I'm not coming back if he does. Someone of that nature were to win. I think any sort of respect, or I say respect a lot, but any sort of care for another human being is going to go out the window, and the only people that are going to be in favor are either those who have like a lot of money, or you're white and you're a man. I mean, I am white passing, so I don't really have to worry about this kind of thing, but I think I worry for like my family members and my friends who are not, or like especially like my close ones. Afraid for them, because I know that because I know that white supremacy exists. I know that if there was a chance to get rid of anyone that didn't look like them, they would take that chance. I don't know. I don't know. It's a sad thing to say. I feel like everything I've said points to no. think it's just my unwillingness to give up and hope that there's something that's going to change, because I am American after all. My ancestors are from here. There's definitely a more spiritual, personal part to me where I'm like, I hope that just for the sake of humans, that there can be something, just something good that comes out of politics. Recognition of women's bodily autonomy. I think that's very important for me. I think that going hand in hand with that, I do support LGBTQ community. I think there needs to be a wider acceptance of these individuals and how they have chosen to live their lives. And I think those are like top two. I will say there needs to be more anti-racist policies, because I think anybody can say anything willy-nilly right now. You can't get in trouble for it. I mean, people can reprimand you, but I mean, if someone wants to go out like saying any sort of slur, they can, simply because they think it's freedom of speech or whatever they think it is. So I do think that implementing more anti-racist policies would make me wonder, oh, wow, America's really changing. I think, actually, this one, I'm saying it as the fourth, but it is important to me just because of I think my parents would be any sort of like environmental change policies, just because I do think that, one, killing the planet, climate change exists. That's, I feel, is a fact. Agree, disagree, it's fine, whatever. I think that there hasn't been much of a focus on it just because everyone's talking about, oh, humans, we're more important, like save us. I'm like, yeah, save us. Well, what if we don't have a world to save? So I think that goes up there for me, and I'm not sure about the fifth one. I said student. This was very, very selfish though. It was a student debt relief, just because money, this capitalist society really messes with you. I don't think that it's as scary as people make it out to be. I don't think that people are mean there. I think they're very, very welcoming. The whole idea that it's anything but unwelcoming and wanting to help is false. I think the word communist country is like give them a lot of fear though of like what that means, and especially because like communism means like different things to different people, and therefore it took on a life of its own in different countries. And so their idea is that it is a very strict country, and therefore they will be objectified or hurt or something like that. I'm like, well, no. I'm like, you could be very happy. I'm like, one, because you are white and you'll be fine as an expat. A lot of times, because whenever like I think the U.S. is needed an out, a lot of times they will blame things on China, and as though it's the worst country, and blah, blah, blah. Like, oh, because it's a communist country, and therefore, if we're anything that's not capitalist, then we're socialists or communists, and like we should do that in another country, not here. Blah, blah, blah. And I think that it'll just make a negative outlook on China, especially with COVID that just happened. Whether we like it or not, it left people with a negative mindset about China, which is very, very unfortunate. And so yeah, which goes back to like racial policies. But I don't think that it seems like China is properly encapsulated by the media. Even, yes, pollution's bad over there. It's really bad. It's really bad. But I feel like whenever I saw anything about pollution or even how horrible they've treated people there, which is true. That is entirely true. Concentration camps, all of that, that was horrible. I think then people automatically assume that the people that come from there are also horrible. And I think that was the problem. It's not to say that the country hasn't done bad things, but then they judge people, and they judge the people that come from there as though they have adopted those same principles and ideologies. And I think that's what kind of frustrated me a little bit. When people would kind of, I don't want to say judge, but kind of look at me like, oh, it's like, was it dangerous? No. 4 years ago, 4 years, somewhere around there, I would go back again. Not for, I still have time left on my visa. So I got a 10-year visa, so I have to go back. I would go back again, but I think it's because of the memories that I associate with. It was I was happy when I was there. And there was a lot of freedom, like I said before, that came with it. And there's many things that I enjoyed about it. And probably it was also the people that I met there too. So I think that's also a contender. It is a different type of freedom. I need, because here here it's also like financial things, which does link to freedom just a little bit, just because it's so expensive to live here. So that's one thing. It's expensive to live here. I got my apartment still like with pandemic prices, and so this place was like, oh my gosh, like I think my neighbor pays like over like $2,600 to live here in an apartment like this size. I don't pay that, and it's insane. It's absolutely insane. And it's like rent stabilized too. So yeah. I think that freedom is just, I defined it differently at that moment in time because I was a teenager, and to me, freedom was like going out and just being able to do all that and come back home where I had a home and I knew everything was taken care of. That was different. Now, as an adult, as freedom, I think like, okay, I don't want to spend so much money on rent. I want to be in a place that I feel safe, where I can go out and also do those things that I used to do without looking over my shoulder and be like, is someone following me home? I shouldn't drink too much because I'm like, I want, if something ever happened, I'm like, I need to be prepared. So I'm like, follow me home.